Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Tomorrow Talent Series Q&A. My name is Jana Toomey, and I'm with Michigan Tech Center for Educational Outreach. We are very excited to be hosting Beau Vandenberg and Marty Bailey from Northern Fab Machine. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having us.
So in case you haven't had the opportunity to watch the video yet, make sure you head on over to the Tomorrow's Talent Series website and check it out. If you are joining us today and you have any questions for Beau and Marty, please make sure you use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen. So with that, let's jump into some questions. So Beau, can you tell us a little bit about your company and the products that you make?
Yeah, actually, I'll let Marty do this first question. He'll be able to answer it better.
Yeah, well, we kind of started out as a tiny little fab shop, two guys in a garage. It was about 2000. They took on some tiny products, just a couple products from one or two customers, and that slowly grew. In about 2007, we purchased the building we're in now. And luckily that kind of came with a couple machines in the building. So we had a couple guys in a garage doing welding, and then they bought this facility that we're in now, and it happened to have some machines. So they said, well, let's see if we can use some machines. So they started using machines, picked up a couple more customers, a few more jobs, and before you know it, we're at where we are now with about 12 machine centers, 10 weld bays, about 18 employees. We do everything from, we're primarily a job shop, but we do have some pretty big clients. Fincantieri, we do a lot of shipbuilding stuff. We have customers in aeronautics where we do machining for airplanes. So it's a kind of a broad spectrum of different products that we do. We support the fire suppressant industry with a company called Johnson Controls. So it's pretty much multiple agricultural businesses we support, medical businesses we support, pretty much anything that can be machined or fabricated. If you have the need, we have the guys.
Wow, sounds like you guys are staying busy.
Yeah.
So, Beau, can you tell us a little bit about what your job as a fabricator entails?
So mine specifically is just like in the video showed, running our brake presses and our saws. So it's my job to take all of the raw stock coming in, if it's coming off of the saw, my job would be to make sure that we're getting the blanks cut for the parts per whatever customer we have and what the parts they need. So just getting the right parts cut and then into the right part of the building, whether it's the machining center or the brake area, the welding area. So just making sure that the job's starting out with the right material getting cut and then move to the next operation.
And can you tell us a little bit about your path into your current position?
Yeah, so mine's probably a little different than most people's as far as getting into fabricating. When I was in high school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And it was after my senior year, I knew I wanted to get a summer job so I could possibly pay for college in the fall. So I started filling out applications for some places, and my current boss now, I knew him before I started working here. So I had texted him asking if I could use him as a reference on some of my applications. And he ended up just calling me, asking if I wanted to work the summer for him at the shop here. So that's what I ended up doing. And when fall time came around, he offered me a full-time position because he wanted me to stay with the company. And then that grew into me just kind of taking on more responsibilities and getting into the spot in the position I am now, which is running our brake area and our saws. So kind of just snowballed into where I'm at now.
That's great. And did you was all of your training just on the job, or did it require any certifications or degrees?
Yeah, so pretty much everything I've learned was on the job training. I did have the opportunity a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now, to go down and take a weekend class at a plant that offers some classes and teachings. Just really the ins and outs of brake press work and what material's doing when you're bending it, and how just the geometry when you're bending metal, I guess, just how it all works, all the ins and outs of that. And I guess that's really all the training I've had, on the job training, and then that one class, and then basically self-taught a lot of it as well, just having the freedom to be able to do that where I work.
So you mentioned, running the brake press and saws at your company. Do you have to get trained if you were to use any more machines, or what would that look like too?
Yeah, so we're always growing here, it seems like. So whenever we get new machines, a new brake, a new saw, a lot of the times wherever we purchase that from, that company will send up a technician that will actually do like a 1-day training on the new piece of equipment we might have gotten, or a couple-day training on the new piece of equipment we might have gotten. But a lot of it is fairly easy to figure out once you have a base knowledge of how everything works. You can kind of figure out how new things work. But pretty much that's how we do it for all areas of the shop, I think, whether it's a new CNC machine or whatever we're getting.
Yeah, and I think what he's getting into there is once you get the basic fundamentals, for instance, the geometry of metal and what it's actually doing when you're bending, from the metal level. We of course get, trained on any new piece of equipment for safety purposes, for efficiency purposes, but a lot of those things, these guys, once you understand the basic geometries, they can apply that to pretty much any other type of machine that's doing the same type of action, let's say.
Yep.
And then we offer other things, which most companies do. I mean, we've had guys go through some basic math classes where we will bring in, some of the local professors at whatever college, most companies are near. And we'll do on-site training, to enhance skill sets, to make guys better at what they do, make better decisions, operate more safely, be more efficient at what they do. So I think any company out there that's trying to grow, trying to be better at what they do, you kind of have to, or you get run over by your competition. You have to improve yourself every day, every week, every month, every year. Because there's a lot of shops out there, they're going to come in with different offer packages than you have. So you have to stay, up on your game. Otherwise you lose it. So
Beau, as a fabricator, and Marty, I'll ask this question to you too, as a quality manager. What are some of your favorite parts of your jobs? Beau, do you want to go first?
Sure. So we are a small shop, so that's got huge benefits in itself. But I guess just the challenge of what I do, every day is different. You're always working on something different, and we do some jobs we do are difficult. So you really got to be using your brain every day. You got to really challenge yourself, and it's really rewarding in the end when you take something that was really a tough project and you're able to make good quality parts in the end, and look back when you're done and just kind of look at it and think, wow, like I was able to do that. So it's, just a challenge, just being able to challenge myself every single day and feel like I'm bettering myself for my career, I guess what I'm doing here. That's just, I guess, it's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, for me, it's Most quality managers are based on statistics, based on repeatable processes, based on setting up things to where if he does it or a different guy does it, it's going to be done the same way. I guess a secondary portion of my job that I really love is like Beau said, being at a small company has its rewards, and some of those rewards are stepping out on the floor and helping guys do stuff that a normal quality manager wouldn't be able to do, get my hands dirty. And then trying to help the teams from a root cause analysis standpoint, figure out why something happened, why it didn't work, and then putting fixes in place, to make sure that doesn't happen again, or look beyond that, further in a process called FMLA, where we look at the possible things that could happen if we're making this part. What could happen? And by taking all that data and working with the teams and their intelligence and their knowledge of like Beau said, the different processes that are happening when you bend a piece of metal, by putting all that together in a little team, it's really cool, and it's nice to see how quickly those things can change. A lot of quality managers might be faced with, working with 400 or 500 people in a huge facility. It takes weeks, sometimes months, to make a change like that. Working in a small place, we can come up with a root cause in the morning, and by the afternoon have the fix in place. So I really love that part about my job, being able to get it done and get it done now. So
Beau, in the video, we saw you taking off some burrs that were on a part that came out of a machine, and you kind of talked about multitasking. Is that really common in your position, having to work on multiple things at once?
Yep, that's an everyday. So we keep mentioning that we're a small business. So that being said, we're always trying to be as efficient as possible. If there's a little bit of downtime in between a job, you're always trying to think of something else you can be working on, just to be, getting everything done as fast as you can. So a lot of times with running the saw and the brake, I can set the saw up to auto feed, so it can be cutting up a full length bar that's maybe 20 feet long. I can set it up to run, hit my program, hit start, and when that's cutting and I know it's cutting good parts, I'm running over to my brake press and I'm bending up parts that I can do in between, and then I'll go back and I'll reset the saw up on some other parts, and after I hit go again, it's back to the brake. And so it's all day long, just trying to be as efficient as possible, doing multiple things at a time. I think everybody here tries to do that if they can.
Yeah, I would think you see that type of activity a lot more, especially in a small business.
Yep.
The other option to that would be a bigger company. He's hired as a saw guy and he presses auto feed on his saw, and he stands there and he watches the machine cut the rest of the parts. Not very competitive, So that's again how we kind of keep that niche and compete with these big shops, because we look beyond the process. We try to find the next thing I can do, or a different way to do that to make it faster and cheaper, or just again challenging the norm.
Yep.
Also in the video, we saw you had to make an adjustment to the brake press machine that was bending at not quite the correct angle. So what kind of changes were you entering to the program to get the final correct shape?
So it would vary depending on what type of or what brand machines you were running, and then the programming keypad you have. Those settings might be different depending on what you're running, but in that machine specific, in my program that I have on the screen for building that part, there is a little section that I can adjust the angle. It's called angle correction in my program. So when I have the program all set up, and that specific part, it was set up for a 90-degree bend. So after I did my initial hit and I measured it with my angle finder, I was measuring light. I think I was measuring like 5 degrees light, which is 95 degrees. So then I would just go right into that angle correction tab in my program, and I would type in exactly what I read on my angle finder, which was 95 degrees. And then I hit go again on my program, and then I'm able to stick the part in there, and it should compensate for that 5 degrees it was off. And you would bend the part, check it again, and I think after the original time I adjusted it, it still needed a degree or two, so I just adjusted it, added another degree or two in that angle correction tab, and then the part was right there at a 90 degree, and then I was able to go through and bend up the rest of my parts.
So, to both of you, in the future, what roles could you move into or new responsibilities could you take on from your current position? Marty, do you actually want to take this one first?
Sure. Well, I think future we're going to see here specifically. I can move up, which would be basically next to the owner. So again, small companies are going to be faced with things like technology, and as those things hit, jobs kind of change. That you don't lose them. They don't say, oh well, here you go, we got this new robot. Sorry, Beau, you're not going to be a brake operator anymore. So I look forward to seeing the technology changes that are happening in the world. Interested in robots, different types of programming, machines that can do different things. So I've kind of been a little higher in my role, kind of stepped back a little bit. I like being where I am. So for me to finish out my career for the next 20 years, be more than happy to be as a quality guy. But only at a small place, because again, I might be stuck in this quality role, but that doesn't mean I can't go out and run a part on a machine or help guys load a pallet. And that for me is plenty, to be happy and content. So.
What about you, Beau? What are some other responsibilities or roles that you can move into?
So I think as we are growing, and it seems like we're continuing to grow here, I've got a lot of time here, and I do have a lot of experience and knowledge as far as our customer base and then the parts that are moving through the shops. So I feel like I have a lot to offer, and definitely if we start adding more machines and more brake presses, maybe a few more saws, and then possibly more guys to run those machines, I can see myself maybe being in charge of those guys and helping, maybe being the programmer for them so they don't have to worry about it. Just maybe running that department a little bit more than I am. Just getting more responsibilities as the years go on. I don't know. Take Marty's spot someday.
So, what is one word that you would use to describe people in this field?
I'll go first. I'll say dedicated for sure. Anybody working as a fabricator, you're met with challenges every single day. You go to your job and just going in and putting your head down and working, doing whatever it takes to figure it out, make it work, make your customers happy and your employer happy. Really, it just takes a lot of dedication, and that's about it. Really, just coming in, having that dedication, the drive to do your best every single day. Sums it up. I think dedication is a great word.
Yeah, I would agree. I think to go along with the dedication, you have to have tenacity in this job. So my word would be tenacious. And what I mean by that is you're constantly faced with a decision block. In other words, you have to make this decision or this decision. Well, that trying to make that decision sometimes can cause you to not make the decision. So you have to be a tenacious person where you want to get that done. You want to be better. In school, if you're the kind of kid that says, what, I got a B, but I need an A, then you probably are the type of person that fabricators would be looking for. If you run into issues and you look to someone else for a solution, rather than saying, you know what, I can make this decision, I know what to do next, then you're probably the type of person that fabricators would be looking for. So it's having that level of tenacity and drive and the love for what you do, and just having that overall enjoyment to realize you can have fun every day in your job. Don't let the bad things that happen deter you, and just keep your head down, like Beau said. Do the best you can and get better and better as you go. So tenacity would be mine.
Marty, I want to circle back to what you kind of brought up a little bit earlier about the increase in technology coming into this field and robotics. So how has this job changed, since you first started, and where do you see the future of this field going?
Yeah, well, fabrication in general is a tough job. Right? We get sweaty, dirty. We're in a non-temperature controlled environment. You have cuts and drop things on yourself, and I mean it's kind of like riding a Bronco. I mean, you really have to be able to get up and dust yourself off and keep moving forward. As technology changes, it allows us to inject that technology at those types of places, right? An example would be, let's say Beau today is bending some parts and he literally is doing 1,500 parts, okay? So from a repetitive motion point, you're taking a part, you're putting it in the brake, and then you're stacking it on a shelf. If you can just imagine the human body making that same movement 1,500 times, and then, oh, by the way, it has a second op, now I have to move it 1,500 more times. You can see where technology would help with that application, right? You can have a robot come in and pull that part out and flip it around. The cool part about it, though, from a technology standpoint, is every piece of technology that's added into your stream. That doesn't mean that guys go away, right? Because you're always going to need that intelligent, tenacious body that's out there, either learning how to program that robot, learning how to fix the robot. So I guess what I'm saying is don't fear the technology, because as you add technology, it actually opens up more things that you're able to do, things that before the robot you may not have had time to do, right? So we've seen things change from a quality standpoint where, 10 years ago, we'd be using a manual caliper to measure some dimensions. Now we have technology that you basically drop that part on a screen, and it's a high definition camera system that's measuring to 80 millionths tolerance. And it can tell you within seconds if that pen that you just made matches the print, right? So now, because I don't have to have guys spending time going over documenting all the dimensions on that part, now they can do other things like setup sheets on jobs. So slightly outside of what their path would have been prior to technology, now we've taken away some of those more simple, repeatable tasks. And now the knowledge base that our people have can actually jump out from where the path they were on. And all of a sudden they're able to do new things that they would have not had the opportunity to do prior. So we look forward to adding technology. We try to stay on the cuff of technology as it changes, for a couple of reasons. One, to be competitive in the industry, you have to. If the machine shop down the road is going to add robots and add 3 people and we don't, you're going to have an offset there. And then again, for the fulfillment of the employees and the staff, it allows them to grow outside of the path that might have been there before the technology. So yeah. we look forward to it.
So do either of you have any advice for students who are interested in getting into this field?
Visit the local shops, small shops, big shops, see if there's anybody you can talk to, do tours, you reach out to anybody you know who's in the field. Just really try to find as much information as you can. The internet offers tons of information. Even there's programs out there that schools have, along with local businesses, that allow students to actually do some whatever on the job training, or just kind of do some walkthroughs and see what the job's all about. We have a student right now, a high school senior right now, that's coming in and working with us every day for a couple hours every day. So there's programs out there for kids to do, to look into the field.
Yeah, I would say, and I work with a lot of kids from fifth grade on up. And the idea behind that was, we saw a huge drop in technical schools over the last 5 years, right? As an example, local college here, 2 years ago had over 150 kids enrolled in their machining programs, okay? Last year we had 18. So you can see that huge decline. And we believe it's because in the school systems, and I see this because I'm on a lot of different committees that actually work with the kids at those levels. There's no knowledge or interest of the things that a lot of fabricators do. So I don't know if it's not being sold correctly at that level, or kids just don't even really know what we do. So what we do is we do tours. We have the local school here. We bring a couple tours a year through here. And what you get is you get a lot of kids that go, wow, I had no idea that's how they made that, and it sparks that interest level and say, I think I could do that, So I would say, if you're not on a direct set path, in other words, you're not one of those kids in fifth grade that knows he wants to be a doctor or knows he wants to be a lawyer, talk to your guidance counselors, talk to your teachers, talk to your parents. The college path isn't the correct path for everyone, right? And know that you're not a negative person. You're not worse than someone else if you choose the path of fabrication versus college first. I definitely don't want to deter kids from going to college, because we also have some college educated guys here. It helps you get a little faster through the process because you have a little bit bigger understanding of things outside of fabrication. But I would say, if you have any interest at all, call some of your local fabrication places. A lot of them offer programs. A lot of them offer internships. A lot of them do yearly tours, because they have the same passion we do. We want to make sure we keep people in this industry. We want to make sure we can create long, fulfilling futures for future employees by keeping them here and safe and challenged and all that stuff. So I would say, just if you have any interest or even no interest, get involved. Just take a tour. Just kind of expand your mind a little bit to things outside of maybe what you've been taught or what you've been shown, and you'd be surprised. We get a lot of kids in here that are excited when they leave here as a sixth grader. That they've never seen that before. So I think once you see it, you'd know right off the bat. If you take a tour and you walk through the shop and you go, man, that's hot, dirty, and then it's probably not your path. But you're going to find a lot of kids that say, wow, that's awesome. I can't believe I can do that with a piece of metal. So definitely ask. There's lots of counseling out there. Like I said, other businesses, teachers, give us a call if you're in the area.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, is there anything else that you'd like students to know about this field that we haven't discussed yet?
No, I think we covered it all.
I think we covered it pretty well.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. I also want to take a moment to thank our other Tomorrow's Talent Series partners, the MySTEM Network, Upper Peninsula Michigan Works, Bay College, Gogebic Community College, and our CTE directors. Students, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out other careers on our Tomorrow's Talent Series website. Beau, Marty, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.